Welcome back to Switch to Linux and another edition of DistroWars. Today we're going to have a look at Enso OS and Xubuntu, two distributions built for low-end hardware, and we are going to compare these. Of course, we're going to compare these in my standard VirtualBox, just for comparative purposes, and we'll kind of glean a little bit about them. Since these are geared towards lower end systems, we are going to check the RAM. We're going to look at how you can install applications. We're going to look at the overall UI and app theming installation. Now, the installation on these, it's the exact same for both. They're both based on Ubuntu. They have the exact same Ubuntu installer. There's nothing different about it. So installation, we will not touch on. And then the only other thing I'll say is out of the box, I don't want to spend time on it in the videos in the comparative, but out of the box, Enso gives you a minimal install, and so you will have to install pretty much all of the software you want, so that might be your preference. Xubuntu gets you ready to use tools out of the box. So we have LibreOffice and a few other tools that are ready to go out of the box. So first, let's have a look at Enso. So Enso, we believe in a greener, simpler computing. This is a single person runs this project, and this is the latest edition is 0.4. And he touts it as being an environmentally friendly Linux distro. Now, when I tested this before, Ecosia was not set as the default, despite it seeming to be indicating, although I haven't seen anything. So here's the environment, simple operating system for anyone able to run on any old machine. This is really his point, is that you can use this on a lot of your older devices. And now, although I'm not sure if he has it working on 32-bit at this point in time because it's based on Ubuntu 20.04, which did drop 32-bit support. So they're saying simple, design with simplicity in mind, keeping design and system to a minimum to enable you to run the tasks you need. So that way it's not going to feel like any amount of bloat. Private, no spyware included and never will be, which is good. And then green, built on Linux, Enso is able to run on nearly any machine that exists, including those that are no longer supported by Windows and Mac. And again, with the latest version, I don't know if that's going to be completely true because of the drop of 32-bit support. So we have a little bit. Here's our basic greeter. We have our desktop, multitasking view, application menu, and Plank is set up. And so you can just go ahead and download it and head on over to get information. Now, in the latest update, like I said, this one just came out within a couple weeks. And just a couple changes he did. We have the Penny note-taking app. So I guess you can pin post-it notes all over your desktop like Linux Mint is going to be doing. App Hive, that's something I didn't mention, is they borrow heavily from Elementary. So they are using the Gala window manager, which is part of Pantheon on top of XFCE as the desktop environment. But they have also borrowed the App Hive software installer, which is a very good software installer, I have to say. They do have this app Stars. I have not been able to figure out what this thing is. Supposedly, it's like, I guess if you have multiple users and they all star it, things show up on... I'm clueless, and I couldn't find any other information. I pinned a few things as starred applications. I thought that might show up easier in favorites or something like that. Nope. No idea. And he does comment on performance, where the performance is greatly improved. There were some issues with App Hive in the previous version. Those are now resolved, and they do have a dark theme enabled. Now, Xubuntu, there's really not much on the website other than flipping through what all of the basics are. So all I'll say about the Xubuntu build is it is Ubuntu with the XFCE desktop. And so that is what you're going to get. So let's go ahead and start out, and we are going to start with Enso. All right, so here we are on the login screen. It is a very beautiful login screen. Now, in my original testing, if we went over here, there's XFCE session and Xubuntu session. If we change this, I got a system crash before. So hopefully we will not get a system crash logging into the system. But we will know in just one moment. And so here we are logged into the system. Now here on my virtual machine, I am noticing a few little odds and ends. First thing I will indicate is I installed GIMP. That is not pre-installed. That's the only application I installed other than HTOP. And I wanted to do that just to check how pinning and favorites and stuff worked. Now before we do anything else, let's go ahead and have a brief look at HTOP. And here we are. We are running at 532 megabytes of RAM on boot up. And so that is super light as far as things are concerned. So there we are. We are good on that. Now, when we get our landing here, we do not have access to the desktop icons. I am noticing these little artifacts showing up. This could very well be because we are in a virtual machine. So I'm gonna pretty much ignore those. I think that's gonna be an artifact of our virtual machine. Now, when we're using our system, we do have the applications window. We have the multitasking view. You can see the icon sets are the same ones from Elementary, it would appear. And the dock is set up kind of nice and out of your way. It's a little unique and different feel. You can see here that we can go into our menu up at the top. So we have our desktop settings, system settings. We have files, documents, music, pictures, video. There's no files in any of those, but that's pretty much all you're going to get as far as the desktop. I did find desktop settings doesn't actually go anywhere, and so there's apparently no desktop settings there. You can change your system settings. This is going to pull up your basic XFCE system settings. And if you go on into your appearance, you can see the Enso dark theme is enabled there. All right, so we'll go ahead and keep that on the dark theme for now. We do have the Thunar file manager because that is based on what XFCE uses. So you can access all of your folders over here. So you can kind of see what we have. There's a separate snap folder. Oh, did it install GIMP as a snap? Okay. Well, I did not intend to install GIMP as a snap, but apparently I got GIMP installed as a snap. Since, hey, Ubuntu likes forcing snaps. Didn't even realize I did that. All right. So apparently, and I did that, I believe I did that through the App Store. So if you go into App Hive, this is how you're going to install your applications. App Hive, as we saw, is one of the better installation applications inside of this. So here we are. Here's GIMP, and this one still says we can install it. So presumably this is a snap. Okay. So one of the things I'm seeing here is I'm not seeing the applications from non-snap versions, apparently. Let's go ahead and have a look at that. Versus on Xubuntu, we will see both. Now, it is kind of, this is the thing I don't like about App Hive, is it feels like it's non-responsive for me right now. So we're kind of back. Come on. All right, let's check Kden Live. This is the one I usually check for things. All right, so we have a repo version. That one looks like an old version. You can kind of see that the theming is not quite catching up. It's a little bit wider than it should be. So this is the Debian package. Not really getting much more. We have 19.3. So it's an old icon, but it is actually a fairly new version. And then there is a snap version. So I guess you have both. I'm not sure why GIMP wasn't showing up, but it does appear GIMP did install as a snap. Let's go ahead and have a look at what these guys, the various applications, look like inside of our system theming here. So there's GIMP 2.10. We're also going to boot up Firefox. So here's what we get, and here's your Firefox. Now you'll notice that whatever is active, the windows are up here. So this guy here follows this basic theming. This guy here follows this basic theming. And they do appear to be themed very consistently, so that's actually good. All of the theming looks nice out of the box. I will note that I did actually have a couple problems early on. They seem to be fixed now where I could not get back to this desktop without adding something, doing something else. I could never quite get back to my desktop icons up here. Inside of our settings, let's see, that's not the settings I was looking for. Let's do, I guess there's the same settings. There's another settings editor I was looking for. I couldn't quite find it here. But you can see here, if you go into your menu, oh, there you go. This is kind of what I was looking for. So inside of your menu, you have the option here with your categories or your whole block. So you can see your applications any way that you would like to see them. So again, it's very minimal. We do have a gaming collection. I installed GIMP. Everything else is what they gave us. We have Mail Reader. We have 2 web browsers, Firefox and it's just either Epiphany or GNOME Web. I'm not sure what the other one is there. Basic appearances, sound and video. Oh, Office, I missed the Office. See, there's no Office suites installed. And then, of course, we have our basic system tools. So what I did notice is that it is actually a little bit harder to figure out. So it's not for your person who really understands or wants a very traditional computer layout, but it is a layout that works very well. It's nice. It actually it looks good. It looks classy, and it's gonna get exactly what you want. It does look like the issue that I was having probably was resolved on an update. So when I close this out, it was kind of being persistent up in the menus, and I couldn't get any further there. So anyway, that is Enso OS. Very low memory usage, very classy, definitely a different style. Probably not for everybody, but it is a very compelling and easy to use system. It looks very nice. All of the issues I was going to bring up seem to be resolved by updating software and things. And so I would say there's really no complaints at all. App theming is very consistent. UI, it's actually easy to understand despite it being a little bit different. And the minimal build means that you're going to be able to install whatever you want. The downside is, of course, it's really not showing me the differences between the snaps and the repository. So if I do prefer one over the other, then it's going to make it a little bit harder to spot that. I said I installed GIMP and I had no idea I was installing the snap version. But anyway, it works and it's consistent. So, hey, we'll let that be what it is. As far as everything else, here's your basic shutdown. This very clearly is the XFCE coming out. We have our calendar stuff. But everything else, though, is themed beautifully. And that's really the thing about XFCE. It'll work on old devices, but it's not the most attractive system, as we will see when we get into Xubuntu. But this guy here, if you're looking for a modern looking system that works very well, this one might very well be your choice. It's modern, it's sleek, it's very attractive in its look and design, and frankly, it's got everything that you need for it. So you can run it on low-end hardware while still looking like a modern operating system. So let's go ahead and have a look at what Xubuntu looks like next. All right, so here we are on the login screen for Xubuntu. You can see that this does look very nice here as well. It looks kind of sleek and modern, and that'll be about the end of what looks sleek and modern, because when we boot this guy up, you will be instantly transported back to 1995. That is actually how old Xubuntu looks to me. So I'll just give you a brief indication. Boot this guy up. Look at that file manager, man. It's just like, whew. The 90s called. They want their icons back. I mean, come on. All right, let's go ahead and boot up HTOP first so we can check our RAM comparison. Ooh, this one wins by about 35 RAM, 35 RAM. I'm a boomer, man. This one's going 478 megabytes right now. And so, yeah, definitely also lightweight, so it is going to work on a variety of devices. Now, being based on Ubuntu 20, this guy here is going to not run on 32-bit systems anymore. So the idea that it can run on practically anything that's out there is not entirely true, except there's very few 32-bit only systems out there anymore. We get out of the box, we do get enough software that it feels like a full system. We have our web browser, mail reader, we have a full LibreOffice suite. There's a couple games, so we have the same puzzle collection, but we also have Minds and Sudoku. We have Libre Math installed there. A variety of accessories. Some may call this bloat. Some may call this system utilities that are useful. Here's our graphics. We have Libre Draw. We have GIMP. I'm trying to think. Did I install GIMP this time? I think, yes, I think I did install GIMP. I wanted to see how it looked with the rest of the theming. We do have Thunderbird, so we have 2 email applications apparently. Here's our Office suite, settings, and here's our system. Of course, we can also get to our settings panel over here. We do have, there's Graybird Dark, so there's our dark theme. You can see in the dark theme there that skeuomorphism popping out. I usually like skeuomorphism. It just doesn't particularly look all that good on this. We'll go ahead and keep that going. Let's see how these guys look as far as we are concerned with, let's boot up GIMP, and let's boot up, like, let's go with Firefox and see how these guys look. We're going to have a brief look at what these guys look like. Do they match the rest of the theming of the desktop? So here's what our theming looks like. So everything does look pretty good. Here's our menus in Firefox. Here's our menus here. So we do actually, if you notice, a little bit of subtle differences there in our menus. So notice that this is dark, this is light, and Firefox is dark. So the theming is not quite as consistent across the board. I think part of this is GIMP does utilize its own internal theming now rather than the system default out of the box. Installing software on this guy, we do have a software system. It does appear to be GNOME software. It could be the Snap Store, but it does appear to be GNOME software. Just looking at the loading screen, how it runs, and if you look at the About system, it does say it's just software, which is how GNOME Software Center pushes itself out. Let it finish downloading its archive here. And here's what we have out of the box. Oh, maybe it is the Snap. I don't know. I have no idea which one it is. So it just says software 3.36. So that's why it leads me to believe it's just the GNOME software. Again, let's go ahead and have a look for Kdenlive. This is what I usually test to see what's in the repositories. Newer icons all around. So this guy here is the repository version. This guy here would be the Snap version, and we do have the ability to go with which Snap version that we are wanting to use. So yeah, we do actually have the easy ability to spot which is which. Let's go ahead and look at GIMP. See if there's an indication as to which one I have installed. If it will it search? Thank you. Okay, so I have this one installed, which is okay. So this is a from the repositories. So there we have it. So there is our system there. So installing applications. We do have equally good means of installing applications. Of both of these app installers, I like AppHive way better than GNOME Software Center. As far as the UI, this Xubuntu does look older. It does look aged. Theming, there's a little bit of inconsistency there on the theming, but nothing that's really all that bad. The out-of-the-box experience on Xubuntu might be a little bit better in that it already has everything that you're going to need to get started on. We have a variety of tools, systems, settings. Under the hood, they're pretty much going to be the same. Really, your ultimate difference lay in the fact that Enso uses a different window manager and a different app software center. So there it is. To compare the two of them, both of these are excellent options for low-end computers. So if you're wanting to put something on a low-spec computer, neither one of these are going to be a bad option. They both utilize the Ubuntu repositories and Ubuntu snaps, making all the software available in those available for you. They both have similar look and feel. Xubuntu is going to be a little bit more familiar to your standard computer user. So if you've finally trained your mother after 20 years of teaching her how to use a computer, Xubuntu is going to be the better bet because it's going to be more familiar, particularly since you can throw that panel on the bottom and it's practically the same as any Windows computer in the last while. If, however, you want a lightweight Linux distribution that is going to be more attractive, it's going to look a whole lot nicer, then you're probably going to want to go with Enso OS. It is way more attractive. It is still intuitive, albeit a little bit different, and it does get you everything that you need out of the box. So ultimately, Enso is probably going to be the winner here, just because under the hood, these guys are pretty much the same, but Enso just looks infinitely better from a stylistic theme. They both run on very light amounts of memory, about 500 megabytes each, give or take 20 or 30 or so, and everything else about them is fairly equal. So there's kind of my take. I'm going to say that Enso comes out as slightly ahead on this one just because it looks so sleek and amazing. So there is our thoughts on these two. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.